Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the property located at 10 Woodbine Road, Greenville, South Carolina, zip code 29609. My name is Colt and my group members are Bo, David, Julie, Tripp, and Grant. So a little bit on the market analysis of our subject property. It's located in Greenville, South Carolina, which has many personal amenities ranging from wellness areas to zoos to places like Top Golf. It has a large corporate presence with its main industries being textiles and machinist manufacturing. It has a humid subtropical climate, which is great for things like the beach, i.e. Myrtle Beach. And also Charleston, the city, is nearby, which is a very clean, great city. Highly recommend you give it a visit. In terms of our market base, they have an average salary of $56,000, and they are predominantly white and older. Greenville has very low unemployment and many mid-range to top-tier schools. So it's not only great for older folks, but mid-range families looking to give their kids a great education. In terms of property specs, it's located in Greenville, as I said. The neighborhood is North Main area. The lot size is 10,018 square feet, which is about a quarter acre. The floor size is 1,243 square feet. With a price listed, we have a couple disagreements with this price, but listed at $324,609. MLS number is 1411-624. It is a single-family detached home built in 1961, and it was last sold on October 10th, 2018 for $229,000.
Hello, I am Stephen Houston, and I'm going to be walking you through the next couple slides of our presentation. I'm going to start by talking about the zoning and the landmarks of our subject property. This subject zone is located in Zone R6, and it is a single-family district in Greenville. The lot sizes must remain above 6,000 square feet in this lot size, or they are not considered a single-family district. Going on to our first comparable, this lot was sold for $319,000, and the square footage is slightly larger than the subject house, but both have 2 bedrooms and 2 baths, and both were also built in 1961. Both of these properties share the same elementary, middle school, and high school. Our comparable number 2 sold for $305,890, and this property has 1 more bedroom than the subject, but both of them have 2 bathrooms. The house is slightly larger, but the property is about half of the subject. This property was built 30 years after the subject house, and they both share the same school district.
Hey, this is David Evans. I'm going to be talking about some of the comparables from our project. So for comparable 3, it was about 1,200 square feet, so it was one of the most similar as far as the square footage. And the lot size, it was pretty close. It was 0.17, and the subject property was 0.23. It was built about 20 years earlier, so we did have to adjust for that time difference. But other than that, it was a really similar comparable. For comparable 4, it was 2 beds, 2 baths, just like the subject property. Very similar in the square footage as well, with 1,229. It was built quite far ahead into the future than the other one in 2014. The lot size was the exact same for this one, and it did share the same schools as this subject property. And then on to comparable 5, it last sold for $342,000, and it was built in 1947, so about 15 to 20 years earlier than the subject property. Its lot size was definitely bigger than the subject property at 0.35, so we did have to adjust its selling price down for that in the sales comparison approach. And it also had 1 more bedroom than the subject property, so that was also something to adjust for in our appraisal. And then for comparable 6, it last sold for $301,000, and it was built back in 1963, which was the same time the subject property was built. It was quite a like 100 more square feet than the subject property, so we adjusted for that. Same number of beds and baths, and also in the same school district.
Trip Shank, and I'm going to talk about our comparable sale adjustments and our reproduction cost approach. So our first comparable sale adjustment is the square footage. Our subject property had a square footage of 1,243 square feet. Comparables 3, 4, and 5 are all extremely close to the subject relative to the value of square feet. But to calculate our adjustment values, the comparable square footage was subtracted from the subject property square footage and multiplied by $148, which is the average price per square foot in Greenville, South Carolina, as provided by Zillow. Our second adjustment was year built, which I searched for online. I tried to find a filter even for years built for houses constructed after 1990 and before, based off the years that our comparables had, but I couldn't find any data online that differed between that, so we just decided to nix that adjustment. Our next adjustment was for bedrooms. The subject property has 2 bedrooms along with 4 of the comparables. Comparables 2 and 5 both have 3 bedrooms and therefore require a downward adjustment. The adjustment was found to be $18,387.54, which is the average difference in the value between 2 and 3 bedroom homes sold within the past 3 months, according to Trulia. Our next adjustment would be for bathrooms, but all 6 of our comparables, as well as our subject property, were all 2 bathroom homes, so no adjustment was needed to be made. Our next adjustment was for land size. Our subject property has a lot size of 0.23 acres, and 4 of the comparables are very close in size. Comparables 2 and 5 have the biggest difference in lot size, respectively. The adjustment was based on a USA Today report from June of 2019, which found the average price per acre of land in South Carolina to be $17,610. The final adjustment to price was found using this average and the difference in lot sizes. Our last comparable adjustment was adjustment for parking space. Our subject property offers a detached garage. Comparables 2 and 3 also have a detached garage. Comparable 5 has an attached carport, and comparables 4 and 6 have neither garages nor carports. According to Fixer, a website that provides project quotes from local contractors based on zip codes, the approximate cost difference between having a garage or a carport is around $26,000. With the garage being the more expensive option, so we had to make an adjustment for that as well. Once we found all these adjustments, we were able to find the different adjusted sales prices, and after adding them up and taking the average of the adjusted sales price with the comparables, our average price came out to be $290,028.90. Next, I'm going to be going over the reproduction cost approach. The cost approach is a real estate valuation method which estimates the amount a buyer should pay for a property. The price should equal the amount it would take to reconstruct a similar building with equivalent use. The method is not typically used for single-family homes, but for public use buildings such as libraries and schools. Costtobuild.net was used to estimate the replication cost of the home. The website estimates the labor and materials to build a home in Greenville, South Carolina. The estimated life of a single family home is about 100 years. We calculated the average cost per square foot of land in Greenville, South Carolina as around $2.86. Using this information, we were able to get the estimated replication cost of $245,692. From that, we had to subtract the estimated accrued depreciation, which came out to $144,958. And after subtracting that, it left us with a depreciated cost of building, which was $100,734. And then to find the value by cost approach, we have to add back in the estimated value of the land, which came out to be $28,651. And then once we add that back in, our final value by cost approach came out to be $129,385.
Hi there, my name is Bo Sluter. Today I'll be talking about the income approach or the income models to value our subject property. Thus far in our presentation, you've seen our subject property as well as the comparable properties. You've seen the sales comparison approach as well as the reproduction cost approach. So for these two approaches, what we are doing are we are valuing our property based on the potential income that the subject property could bring in, whether it is in 1 year or in our discounted cash flows model, a holding period of 10 years. Starting off in the direct capitalization model, what we're looking for is the net operating income. So first, we start off with potential gross income. And what we did for this is we went on Zillow and we looked at 2-bedroom houses in Greenville that were renting to buyers or to users, and we averaged out the potential or what they were looking for price for rent. And that came out to $14.29. We multiplied that by 12 months. And we got $17,148 for potential gross income from rent in 1 year. And based off of secondary sources from the internet, we found that vacancy and collection losses are typically about 10% of your PGI. So we multiplied $17,148 by 10%. We got $1,714. We did not have any additional miscellaneous income. So our effective gross income was $15,434. And then we subtracted our operating expenses. That's also based off of secondary sources that we used. We found that it's on average for a 2-bedroom house in Greenville, it takes about $2,000 to maintain your house or your subject property, our 2-bedroom house in this instance. So we subtracted that from our effective gross income, and that gave us our net operating income, $13,434. And from there, we divided that by our market cap rate, which was 7%, and that gave us our price estimate of $191,914.29. And that is using the direct capitalization model, and that's based off just 1 year. Moving on to the next model, the discounted cash flows, this is based off a period of 10 years. We're still using the net operating income that we found in the direct capitalization model as well as the price estimate in this model. But what we're doing is we're discounting it based off of the years, potential years looking forward for the current year that we are in, year 0. So we just discounted each year from 1 to 10 for the cash flows. They're all the same going up to year 10. Year 10, we factor in selling the house, the subject property, and we use the price estimate we found in the direct capitalization model of $191,914.29 with the additional income of the rent income from that year of $13,434. And then we discount that to get a grand total of $161,870.91 for our price estimate using the discounted cash flows model. So obviously they're just using those two different models, you get two different prices. One, the direct capitalization model is more expensive, has a higher value than using the discounted cash flow models. But we see that throughout all of our different models that we use. We're getting different prices, and that's why in our next slide we're going to see why we weighted it differently. Thank you.
Using the estimates from the 4 approaches and the weights assigned to each, we conclude that the subject property's appraised value is $224,064. Our appraisal also included the impacts of COVID-19. We calculated that the sales comparison approach should account for 60% of the value of the single-family home. At SC Appraisals, we feel that the sales comparison approach is the most appropriate way to estimate value and should carry the most weight. We allocated 30% of the weight from the cost approach to the subject property. This weight was chosen due to the fact that this method is not typically used to value single-family homes. Rather, it is used to value buildings such as schools and libraries. Finally, we allocated 5% to both the income direct capitalization and the income discounted cash flow approaches. Both income approaches are estimates of the property based on the potential income of the property. The two popular real estate websites, Zillow and Redfin, estimate the value of our subject property at $314,000 and $318,000 respectively. According to Redfin, their average home estimate is highly accurate with a median error of 1.72%. Zillow claims to have a median error of about 2%. In our case, however, they were both incorrect. Our final estimated value is much lower, at $224,000. However, about 2 weeks ago, on March 23rd, the subject property was sold for $229,000. This value is much closer to our prediction than Redfin's and Zillow's. We believe our estimation shows the true value and demand from consumers in the upstate area of South Carolina.
So shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk about the coronavirus and its impact on today's economy. So comparing it a little bit to the financial crisis of 2007, coronavirus or COVID-19 is completely unprecedented. You know, who'd have thought in 2020 we'd be being attacked by a virus? Nobody. A similarity between the two events is our failure to be proactive. You know, coronavirus, we didn't have proper pandemic supplies. We did not properly equip our medical institutions to deal with an event like this. 2007, it's the same deal. You know, we saw the bubble developing before our eyes, and credit default swaps and mortgage-backed securities. We just didn't do anything to regulate those, and we didn't take proper precautions. A big difference between the two events, coronavirus is a problem we can't even see. You know, it's microbiology. And like I said, the housing market, it was a problem developing right in front of our eyes. I think it really comes down to its laziness and greed by big banks and financial institutions in 2007 versus microbiology right now with COVID. A big difference between the two events is the locus of control. So COVID is very external, right? We can't do much. All we can do is sit inside and hope for the best. But with 2007, it was very internal in terms of we could do a lot to change and help the situation. In terms of economic impacts from the coronavirus, it's forced all non-essential businesses to close, and that list of which business is deemed essential is drafted by the Department of Homeland Security. We've transitioned to fully online schooling, which luckily in today's technological age we can totally handle. Coronavirus is a small business nightmare in the sense that a lot of these companies live quarter to quarter or even month to month, and if you suffocate revenue for even a portion of this time, they will go bankrupt, which is very sad. Also, airlines, as we know, a lot of people gather at airports, and it's a source of international travel, which is a nightmare for virus spreading, so they've taken a big hit. The S&P 500 has dropped more than $800, which in terms of percentages, it's a lot worse than the 2007 crisis, which is scary. Staggering unemployment implications. In fact, just last week, 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment, which is not a comforting number. And consumer confidence is being shredded across the board. Thankfully, the government is taking a lot of action to sort of ease the coronavirus burden on the American people. This action includes a $2.2 trillion stimulus package, a full-on airline bailout, many small business loans, mandating quarantine procedures, the Fed cutting interest rates to near zero, which is extreme expansionary monetary policy, tax delaying till July 15th, and unemployment regulations, a $1,200 cash check to qualifying Americans. And what's unique about this situation is Republicans and Democrats are no longer wasting time over petty disagreements and ideal differences. They're sort of uniting and prioritizing the American people, their health and welfare, over any, ideology difference they have. So it's nice seeing Congress less gridlocked and more willing to take action. For real estate impact, all factors discussed will be very prevalent in South Carolina, more specifically Greenville, which is our subject property's location. The main industries of textiles and machinist manufacturing of Greenville will take a massive hit, and their location quotients are 20.01 and 4.67 respectively. Apartment complexes will lose steam as people don't want to live very close and scrunched up. Suburban isolated markets will be favored over urban markets, again, because this virus mentality makes people want to drift apart more than ever. This is not the right time in the eyes of the American people for a mortgage contract because becoming highly levered and taking on so much debt in such shaky economic conditions is not ideal to the American people, especially even with all the expansionary policy and tax incentives on taking out a mortgage. So all things considered, we've approximated a 12% final drop in appraisal value, and we've come to this number by doing a trend analysis on the real estate projections for South Carolina, averaging that with the United States economy drop in terms of percentages, which we've measured with the S&P 500, as well as factoring in the main location quotients of Greenville. And that's pretty much it. On behalf of my group, I'd like to thank you all for your attention, and I'd like to remind you to stay inside and wash your hands.